tags. So I'm actually late hopping on, and this is a great conversation to have. So I go live on at 12 noon on Wednesdays and Fridays. And so today I'm like, oh, I've got plenty of time. I'm sitting here, working on some stuff, plenty of time. And I got an email that said, hey, would you give us some feedback for one of the businesses that I have? Would you give us some feedback on some of our systems? And I thought, well, of course, if they're going to take somebody's opinion, I would love for them to take mine. So I'm filling out this form that I think is going to take me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, right? I look down and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm 10 minutes late now to get on my live. And this is such a good reminder of why I think so many people feel overwhelmed or feel like I've got so much on my plate or I just can't keep up. And how many of you feel that way, right? You feel like I feel overwhelmed. I feel like my mind is going in 10 different directions. I can't keep up. With coaching women who are starting businesses, this is such a common conversation. And I think I hear a lot of it because I'm talking usually to women who are trying to start a business and fit that into their already very busy lives, right? But if you have conversations outside of that, just sit down and talk with your girlfriends. This is a common conversation. A woman feeling overwhelmed, so many things to do. Our to-do list is always in our head. So we're going to talk about that today because I'm looking and going, wow, I cannot even believe I am 10 minutes late. So what does that mean? So let's talk about overwhelm. And I recently heard this and it really changed my perspective of when I say to myself, oh, I feel so overwhelmed. Because how many of you do that? You say to yourself, oh, I feel so overwhelmed. Am I the only one? And so the new thought around that was that when you're feeling overwhelmed, it is your brain trying to figure out what is the most important next step. And so we talked about this a little bit earlier this week. And it's that I have all of these priorities and my brain doesn't know which is the one that I should be focused on next, which is the one that's the next important priority. There's a great book. Let's see if I still have it. You guys know I always give out my favorite books. Oh, I do have this still. Okay, let's grab it. Great book. And there is a podcast. You can check out the podcast. It's called The One Thing. It's by Gary Keller, the guy who started Keller Williams. Okay. Fabulous book. I think I have so many pages of highlights in here. I love to highlight my books. So this is very highlighted. But basically what he talks about, and I love this. So here it says, there can only be one most important thing. Many things may be important, but only one can be the most important. And the most successful companies know this. And they're always asking, what is our one thing? The one thing is that it's for you to find out. And so I really use this idea when I'm feeling overwhelmed to go, okay, what is the one thing? The one thing that is going to move the needle, the one next step. Now, if you're in our Hey Girl You Can community, this is what we are going to be doing in this month's education class. We're going to be talking about, as a business owner, when you have 10 different things on your plate and 10 different opportunities, how do you know which is the next best one to focus on? Like, what do I do next? That's going to move the needle. That's going to give me results. That's going to get me headed into the direction that I want. And that is and learning how to do that is a skill. All right. Learning how to talk yourself through this. So yesterday we had our in-person Hey Girl You Can networking event. And one of the girls there, who's a very good friend of mine, very successful business owner, and she was kind of saying, she was at a place where she was working tons and tons and tons and kind of hitting a burnout. And so then she shifted to kind of change her priorities. But now she feels like her business is not getting the traction and moving in the way that she wants it. And so here we have this dilemma, right? Like, I can go all in, I can work like a lunatic and I can get results. But if I don't go all in then and have more of this quote balance, right? And you guys know I hate that word, then my life isn't having those things. And so I was asking her some questions. And I was saying, the questions that I would ask myself is I would say, well, and I do this regularly, like, right, what brings me joy? What do I enjoy actually doing? What would be fun for me? How could this be more fun for me? What are the things that I can do that actually move the needle, right? That are going to make a difference in my business. I said, one of the things about being a successful business owner and even successful in life is learning how to coach ourselves well. Learning how to ask ourselves the right questions to get the right answers. See, we always think it's about the answer. It's not about the answer. It's about the question. It's learning how to ask really, really great questions that get our creative juices going. So our brain goes, okay, well, what could I do for that? How could that work? How might I make that work out? Right? And so I was like, coaching yourself through that, because there's always an answer. Marie Forleo says everything is figure outable. She has a book on that. Everything you can figure out. There's nothing that you can't figure out. It's learning how to ask yourself those questions to figure it out, right? So when we're overwhelmed, it's trying to figure out, what do I need to do next? What is important? And I think some of us thrive with lots of, ideas and lots of things. I was talking about my girlfriend, Corey, the one that if you have not gotten her book, guys, you need to get. This Future of You is activated. I'll actually tell you, I'm looking for 10 people who want to read this book with me. So if you want to read this book with me, let me know. I'm looking for 10 of you who want to join me in reading this book. She's got some really cool stuff going on. But I really believe that we can get a lot. We can get a lot out of this. So I want you to read this with me. It's in my links. It's the very first thing on my links right now if you want to grab this book. And so lost my train of thought because I got so excited about her book. Oh my gosh. All right. So it's, how do I set up my life so that I don't feel overwhelmed, but I can still accomplish things that I want to accomplish? So if you remember on Wednesday, we were talking about this whole idea of like, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What is it that the legacy that you want to leave? Right. And like moving forward on that, it really is deciding. We all have 168 hours a week, what we're going to utilize that time with. And I will tell you, one thing that I'm realizing is that we actually have a lot less time than we think. And I'm going to say this differently than when I've coached before. In the past, I would have said, you have more time than you realize. But I was recently sitting down and I was thinking about, like, why do I sometimes feel like I can't get all the things that I want to get done? And I thought, well, okay, each day has 24 hours. Now, I don't know about you. I thought that as I aged, I would need less sleep. I thought, well, as I get older, I'm only going to need like 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night. And maybe you are that person. I have found the opposite. I have found that as I have gotten older, I almost feel like I'm regressing back into puberty. Like I need more and more sleep. You know how teenagers, they sleep like 10 hours a day. And on the weekend, you're like, it's 1 o'clock and they're still sleeping. And then you grow out of that and you get out of that. I feel like as I'm getting older, I'm getting back into that. Like left to my own devices without an alarm clock, I could probably easily sleep 10 hours a night. Right. So I'm curious, how much could you, and I don't mean like how much do you sleep? I know most people don't get enough sleep, right? But if left on your own without an alarm clock to wake you up, how many hours do you think your body naturally wants to sleep? So I'm like, my body wants 8, at least 8, and I could probably do 10 every now and then. So if you take that, let's say you take your 24 hours and you take just 8 hours out of that, there's only 16 hours left. Right? And if I take 10 hours out of that, there's only 14 hours left in the day. And you're like, well, that's still a lot of hours, but let's break that down. Showering, getting ready. You're a woman, that's probably taking you an hour, right? Now let's talk about prepping dinner. And fortunately, I am very grateful. Jack does the majority of the cooking and he is a great cook, because whenever I cook, I'm like, oh my gosh, this takes so much time. Like it probably takes an hour to prepare dinner. And if you want to eat a lunch that's not like grabbing a slice of pizza or fast food or something that's not healthy, and you actually want to prepare yourself a lunch and sit down and eat your meal and not on the go while you're at your desk, which we know is incredibly unhealthy. Like you're actually supposed to stop what you're doing, not work at your desk, digest your food, prepare your food. Like if you want to actually make like a salad or something, that's probably going to take you another hour. So right there, now we've got like 2 hours. So we're talking about cooking the dinner and then sitting down with the family and eating for like an hour. So if you do that, that's 3 hours. And let's say you do eat breakfast on the go. So we're going to do 3 hours just for that. So now if we slept 8 hours, got ready for an hour, we're at 9 hours, right? Let's take a calculator here and kind of see where we're at. So we've got 24 hours. We slept 8, we got ready for an hour. And then we have like 3 hours for an hour for lunch, 2 hours for dinner. We're down to 12 hours. Now, let's say out of that 12 hours, you have some family time. You hang out with your family at night, right? So let's give like our family time like 2 hours a time, right? That's only 10 hours left. If you work a full-time job, that's 8 hours a day before you're commuting, there's your 10 hours, right? Like if you drive an hour to work, sit at your job for 8 hours and drive home, there's your 10 hours. So this is why we're stressed out going, well, where's the time left to build my business? Where's the time left to do the things that I want to do? So I really had this like moment of, I'm like, where did all the time go? Where did all the time go? Now, fortunately, my 10 hours, I'm not working another job, but where did all the time go is a question. So I was just coaching a woman earlier this week, and we were talking about, because she's looking at this and she's going, I have no time. And we were like, okay, where can you find pockets of time? I want you to put your schedule. We talked about using a plan sheet, and a plan sheet is different than a calendar. And if you don't know the difference of that, if you go to my YouTube, I have a whole training on that, of why I use a plan sheet and a calendar together, because those are different systems and different things. I don't know the word for them, but they're different resources that do different things. And I was like, I really want you to look for pockets of time. Where do you have a hole in your schedule? So for example, a pocket of time for me was when I used to pick my daughter up from school. And I would sit on that school line for like 20 minutes outside of the school waiting for her to come out. Well, if I could use 15 minutes of that to do text messages, calls, book appointments, follow up with customers, and I did that every day for a week, that was like over an hour. What is that? An hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes of work time that I could get done. So I can be an hour and some odd minutes of work time in a pocket of time. Okay. If you have, let's say you have an hour lunch break and you take a half hour to eat, and then you take a half hour to do your personal development work or to build your business or go sit in your car and work on whatever it is that you need to work on for yourself. If you did that every day over the course of a week, that would give you 2.5 hours of work time. Right? If you did a half hour every single day, 2.5 hours of work time. So it's sometimes finding pockets of time so that we're not so overwhelmed. I love thinking of my schedule like Swiss cheese. Where are there holes? So that we're not feeling so like I'm being pulled in 10 different directions. But if you are, there's a reason for it. I will also say, and some of you guys know, I do a Saturday detox, a Saturday Sabbath. I do not check voicemail, email, any of that stuff. If you have not done that, I cannot encourage you enough, particularly if you're telling me you're feeling overwhelmed, particularly if you feel like you're anxiety and anxious and my brain is spinning and I don't know all the things to do. It will change your life. It is not my idea. It is God's idea. God commands us and tells us to keep a Sabbath, because he knows us best and he knows how our brains are wired and he knows what we can do. And I will tell you, there is a tendency for me to think, I can't do that. I have too much to do. I had somebody who said to me, I'm not available to talk, but I am available on Saturday. And it was somebody that I really wanted to connect with. And so my first thought was, okay, I'll just do this Saturday. And then my second thought was, Tara, you're asking God to bless your efforts and you're going to go to do something directly against what he has commanded you to do. Do you think he's going to bless that phone call? Don't even bother doing the phone call. And I said to her, I'm sorry, I'm not available. Let's talk on Monday instead. And we booked for a different time. That could be a whole other conversation. I'm curious if anybody here takes a Sabbath, because if you don't, you're going to start doing it with me. It is so life-changing. So hard to do in the beginning, but now I look forward to it every single week. It will change your life. Legit change your life. And it's hard because you cannot check it. I don't check a cell phone. I don't check an email. I don't log into social media. The whole world can be burning down. I'm not going to know. And you know what? I'm kind of glad about that, right? I'm kind of glad about that. I don't need to know. We don't need to know. I don't watch a lot of news. And sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, how do you live? You don't know what's going on in the world. And I'm like, if something big's happening, don't worry. Somebody's telling me. I'm good. Somebody will tell me, right? Because what we focus on grows. And we know this. This is science. This is whatever you're focused on is going to get bigger in your life. So if all the stuff that you're putting into your brain is negative, is news, is drama, is people, some of the stuff I see on Facebook, guys, is wild. I particularly like when people put passive aggressive messages to people in their life as if Facebook is the appropriate place to do that. It's so bizarre. Like they're writing a note to like their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or their mother-in-law or their, mother or whoever. And they're like venting to that person for the whole world to see. It's bizarre. With that being said, if you have a bunch of friends like that, though, that are on Facebook and this is who you're constantly getting in, this is going to start to show up more in your life. Your life will have more drama. The people around you will have more drama. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, why is everybody having drama? Because that is what your brain is seeking out, because you've told your brain, this is what I'm interested in. This is what I'm looking for. So your brain goes, great, let me go find you more of that. So, which means we need to be proactively working against that, especially if we don't want to feel so overwhelmed. All right. So a few tips. Okay. So a few tips. And this is the kind of stuff that if you have a business, I invite you to be part of our community, our Hey Girl You Can community, because it's being in the space of people who are doing the things that they want to do, who are going after their goals, who are believing that it's possible. There's support in a women community. At our networking event, even just yesterday, somebody asked a question. Another girl said, "Oh, this is how you can handle that." Getting feedback from other people who've been where you've been or have an expertise that you don't have, right? Like for me, I needed to get in the space. I see this even within my direct sales business. I'll have people who join my team, they want to build a thriving business, but they struggle to show up consistently for education. And one thing that I did exceedingly well when I started my business. So if you have a direct sales business, or whether you have your own business and you're plugged into like our community or a different community, one thing I did exceedingly well is I showed up. I went to all of the training. I got in the space of the women who had achieved what I wanted to achieve. And I still do 28 years later. It's why I go to Boston once a month. It is an inconvenient thing to do, but you want to be in the space, where the women are who are thinking differently, bigger, bolder dreams, right? And so that's why we created our Hey Girl You Can community. It was to bring women together. I want to bring people into that space, women who are going, hey, you've got this crazy goal to build this business, you can do this. You've got this crazy goal to, build your own podcast, you can do this. You've got this crazy goal to leave your job and create, enough income to do this, you can do this. Like, we need those people telling us you can. You are capable, you are able, you can figure it out. And if there's people in your life telling you that you can't, do not listen to those people, because just because they can't doesn't mean that you can't, right? Doesn't mean that you can't. But it is thinking different. It's showing up differently. It's prioritizing. It's working off of a plan sheet saying, what is most important? If I'm overwhelmed, what is most important? Am I doing things that don't really move the needle? I find myself doing this all the time. I'm doing stuff going, Tara, why are you doing this? You don't need to be doing this. You feel like it's important. It's really not important. Right? But that overwhelmed feeling. And here's what we'll end with today, because this is what we started with me being 10 minutes late. Often things that we're doing take longer than we realize they do. And so when you just say to somebody, oh, I'm just going to go do this. I'm just going to go shoot off that email. I'm just going to go run and pick up the groceries. I'm just going to quickly call that person. Oh, I'm just going to take a few minutes and look and see what's going on Facebook. And an hour later, things take longer than we anticipate. We have, if you're in our community, we have in your portal, in your login, one of the resources is a time audit. Life-changing. I've talked about this before because I just did one back in December because I hadn't done one in years. A time audit really shows you where you're usually utilizing your time or not utilizing your time, and how much time things are taking you. So particularly if you're feeling overwhelmed, if that is a conversation that you're having in your head, a time audit will actually give you clarity on why you're feeling overwhelmed. What is it that's actually going on with your time? And it is shocking. I mean, even people, like, I feel like, I'm pretty good with I work with my plan sheet, I work with my schedule, but it is shocking when you actually see in black and white where your time is going. You will be like, oh my gosh. I've done it twice now because it's time consuming to do it. It's hard to do it. I've done it twice in my life now. The first one was eye-opening on a level I can't even begin to tell you. And so I went back and I did it in December, and I was still very shocked at what I saw with actual time. So that's a great way to start if you're feeling overwhelmed, to do a time audit. And then the other thing that I can offer you, so go into our links, go look and see what's going on, grab your book with Corey. Let me know if you're one of the 10 people who are going to read the book with me. Check out our upcoming events. And then one other piece of that is, if you're really stuck, if you go into taragonline.com, I do clarity calls. There are 30-minute clarity calls. They're kind of cheap, but they give you a chance where we get on the phone together and we get clear on what your next step is. We get clear on what do you want to focus on? Because a lot of times people just aren't clear. And they need somebody, if you're not good at, yet, if you haven't developed that skill of coaching yourself yet, then having somebody who can ask you some clarifying questions to get you moving into that right direction. And that's what that clarity call does. And for a lot of people, I'll tell you, I just have a girl who just did a clarity call with me. And afterwards, she was like, oh my gosh, I've gotten done more in the last 2 weeks than I had prior to doing this call with you, she's like, because it totally shifted how I'm using my time. It totally shifted how I'm doing my business. And I love that. Like, that to me was so awesome, because she was able to take ownership of her situation, feel more powerful, feel more in control of what she was doing to drive the results that she wanted. It was so exciting to get that feedback. And so if that is what you need, go ahead, book your clarity call. Let's get things clear for you, because we are about to have a season shift. Kids are getting out of school. Life is going to change, schedules are going to change. And rather than feel like you're in reaction to that and just having to kind of hold on, like, life is crazy and I'm just holding on, let's really drive what you want that to look like. All right. And so if you're not in our community, I hope that you come and join us. And if you've been thinking, you know what, I need to do something to make some extra cash, and you're looking at a side gig. I've been talking a lot about 55% of Americans have side gigs right now, but most of them continue to trade time for money. And that is what you don't want to do. You want something where you will be able to leverage your time so that you are making money when you are not working. That is key when you are looking at a side gig. If you're going to invest your time in something, you want something that's going to create you residual income, that you're not constantly on a hamster wheel of time with money. And so if that is where you are caught and you want something different, send me a DM. I'll send you some info on what I do. If nothing else, it'll teach you good questions to ask while you are looking for the business of your dreams, the thing that's going to be the thing that will change things for you. So have an amazing Friday. Have an incredible weekend, and